Is, I know all of you have already done maybe a graduation or a post-graduation, and now you're starting your MBA. But I thought I'll give a few inputs on what the approach towards your career planning. Because see, me and my team have visited multiple campuses and interacted with a lot of students. So we have a kind of an understanding about what are the inputs that students look for. Many times when we are invited to a campus, the college management generally tells us, why don't you address a student, give them some inputs about how they can approach their career planning. So I thought I'll spend a few minutes on that. And then what are the expectations of the IT industry? Because I represent IT industry, I probably will not be qualified to speak about other industries, but I will talk about the IT industry. Much of what I'm talking about probably can be related to other industries also. And then I'll share some inputs on our recruitment process. Maybe that's a bit early, considering that I think it's only your third day here after you started your course, but then still I'll give some inputs on that. And the roles which we offer from TCS's side. The roles what are there for MBAs from the IT industry perspective. Don't worry, I won't, just because I said all this thing, it doesn't mean that it's going to be a very long speech. I'll not spend too much time on each of these areas. Okay, and then I'll leave it open for you to ask any questions if you have. Does that sound fine? Okay. So, you probably, these days, students in general, I must say, the kind of exposure which you have to the outside world is completely different compared to a few years back. When I did my MBA, probably me, my friends, we didn't have access to all the resources that you do today. So information-wise, in terms of planning your career, I don't think there is any dearth of information or any lack of resources for you. So, the only input which I can give from my side is, generally there is a lot of, this we see more among the BTech students. Because they have a lot of options, there's also a lot of confusion. What do I go for? Do I go for higher studies? Do I go for a job? Do I join my family business? There's so many things which they can get into. To a smaller extent, probably the same thing is true for all of you also. You have also a lot of options. Once you finish, first of all, you have to decide which industry you want to target, whether you want to, what kind of job you want, whether you want to start something on your own, there are different options. So what I would suggest is, maybe you're starting your first year of education, MBA education now, probably discuss with your seniors and your management and decide what you would want to target, say 18, 20 months down the line. So you decide what industry you would want to target and then prepare for it accordingly. And if some of you have plans to start something on your own, the earlier you start planning and preparing for it, the better it is. Because what I would suggest is, first you think about what you would want to do, and then what do you need to accomplish that or implement that. And then use the resources you have at your disposal, your college facilities, your professors, your seniors, friends, and so on, and then get that information. And then go ahead. A lot of the times, probably, the preparation for the next step in your career happens a few months before the placement process. I don't know what it is like for all of you, because every year the mentality or the thoughts that go through students' minds probably changes. I mean, you are probably more aware and more conscious of these things than your senior batch or maybe a few batches before you. The advice which I have is, start thinking about it from now itself and make a plan. So if you know that you want to target this, so what do you need to get there? You start planning now itself so that it will be easier for you. Because this is what happens when we come and do some workshops in colleges for helping people prepare for their placements. But we always find that if we do this workshop well in advance, it helps. Otherwise, we will tell that for maybe in an engineering college, we'll come and say that IT industry, if you join, they require a good knowledge in coding. So you have to practice on your C and C++ and technical skills you have to brush up. So they don't have that much time to do it. If you're telling them 1 month before they are going to sit for the interviews. But rather if we do it a few months beforehand, then they have more time to think on it and what they want to do and then start working on it. So that is the only simple input which I have on this, because the opportunities are vast. You have a lot of things which you can do if you want. So, and you cannot focus on multiple things at the same time. You cannot prepare for becoming an entrepreneur and also target a job in the IT industry, and then also look at a job, let's say in the financial services industry. You can't do that. So you should restrict it. And all the courses that you choose, the kind of, the way, even right down to the way you prepare your CV, all should be targeted towards the requirement of that company. I mean, you may take multiple specializations, or you may have multiple courses. You will have some courses in finance, in marketing, and so on. But then, if you are sitting for a IT company, you should understand what the requirements are for that company, and then your CV should look like that. I mean, you make your CV like a very good fit to what they are looking for. Okay, so that is the input on that side which I have. Then, what I was also asked to share some inputs on what IT industry looks at from MBAs. What are the expectations of IT industry? Now, we at least, TCS has been hiring from your college for quite some time. I mean, I think it goes back, I don't know how many years the association goes back.
2 decades.
2 decades, that's what sir is saying. So there are a lot of your seniors who are there working with us, and I've personally been involved in this for the last 2 years. And I must say that year by year, that association is only growing stronger, at least in terms of the number of people clearing the process, the number of people entering into the company, that has only kept growing. So for 2017 and 2018 batches also, I would request college management. I know that they are already doing that, but to train the students, train all of you and prepare all of you even better. Don't be satisfied with whatever, if 2015 batch, 16 batch had a certain number of students who got placed, don't be satisfied with that. You should always, expect and ask for much more. Okay. So what does IT industry look at? I would say primarily, IT industry looks at people who are good problem solvers. Okay, you can if you ask different people, they'll tell you different things. In IT industry, communication is the most important. This is what I've heard from students. In a technical college, in an engineering college, if you ask, according to you, what is the most important skill set that IT companies look at, they'll say communication, sir. Communication may be one of it, but I don't think that is the most important skill set. Different people will say different things, but according to me and people I've spoken to, who are seniors who come and participate in our recruitment process, they look at people who can solve problems. If you look at it, generally what does the IT industry do? They in turn solve problems of other companies or other organizations. So if there is some job that a company wants to be done, and it can be, either it can be done in a better way because of the application of technology, or there is no solution in place, and by applying IT to that problem, there will be a better process. They will contact an IT company to get that done. So people joining into IT companies, they should be very good at identifying the problem and knowing the best way to solve that. So problem solving is one. Second is working in teams, because it is very rare that people in IT industries, especially service companies like IT services companies like TCS, it is very rare that people will be individual contributors. Most of the roles, or I would say almost all the roles which are there, require you to work in a team. So that collaboration and that, you need to very quickly understand what is the structure of the team, what is the domain knowledge that is required, and then adapt to the situation. Then adaptability is another thing which is very important. Especially people without prior work experience, when they come into an IT company from the college, I mean, they might have done their graduation and then post-graduation, and then they come into the IT company. That corporate kind of life, it is different for them. So the sooner they get accustomed to it and they start working towards it, the better it is. I know it will not be an issue for most of you, because you are not at that very junior stage where you have not been exposed to where you're not at that stage where you have not been taken out of your comfort zone. I think to some extent, after you finished your graduation, by coming here itself, there is some change which has happened. I mean, if you compare yourself now with what you are now versus what you were when you passed out from your graduation, there'll be a significant difference. Because the very fact that you have actually got through this institute, that itself you would have put in efforts and you would have reached up to that level. So I don't think it will be that much of an issue for all of you, but still it's one of the things which is applicable anywhere, any industry or any environment you go, the sooner you adapt to it, the better it is for you. Then learning ability is very important. That's what our panelists and the people who come to interview candidates look at. It's not that we are expecting somebody to be a ready-made product when we interview that person, but more whether this person has the potential to do well. So that would mean whichever project or whichever assignment is given to this person, can this person pick up the technical skills, the domain knowledge, and whatever is required to perform well in that assignment, can they pick it up quickly? That's what our panelists will look at. So the quicker you are able to learn all this and you are able to deliver, the better it is. I think in all this, an underlying theme is that basically you should let go of the inhibitions. Inhibitions or artificial constraints which are there. Or rather, the ability to easily get out of your comfort zone. And I think that is very important. All of this stuff, this learning aspect, adaptability, all boils down, I think, to this. How quickly can you let go of that inhibition, and how quickly can you let go of that thing that I should always be in my comfort zone? So the quicker you are able to let go of that, all these things will also fall into place. Okay. Now, coming to the roles which we offer. The IT industry, probably when we do, I'll talk about TCS recruitment. It may be in some ways similar and in some ways different from what other companies look at. See, because we are, if you look at, say, an IT company that is more into product development, what they look at, the kind of skill sets which they require will be slightly different, and the roles which they offer would be different. But I'll talk about what roles we offer primarily for people from non-HR branches. The roles can be any one of these. One is called a business analyst. So a business analyst, what this person would do is they would have to understand the requirements of the customer from the business perspective and then give that to the development team. Okay, so that's one, business analyst. Second is an ERP functional consultant. So we also recruit for people to join either an SAP or the Oracle Apps group. So this we call it, this group is called Enterprise Solutions. So you must, probably you would be aware of this. ERP, whenever a company is implementing a product like SAP or Oracle Apps, they'll require some, there'll be a technical team who can do this, who can implement this product. But how to configure it and how to customize this based on the business requirement, there would be definitely a need for MBA people to come in, because we expect that you would be able to easily understand the business requirement. So for example, if there is some process related to finance, where Oracle Apps or SAP is being implemented, then a person with a background in finance will be easily able to understand what is a requirement and then give that input, the correct input to the technical team. Okay. Same way, even those of you who are specializing in marketing. So if there is some SAP or an Oracle Apps module which is taking care of sales and distribution or supply chain management, probably these concepts you would be in a better position to understand the business requirements and then translate them into the technical requirements. Okay, so this is the second kind of role which we primarily look at. First is business analyst, second is ERP consultant, and third is some people who are specializing in marketing may get into pre-sales. So this is, see, IT industry is where we have a lot of customers. So always business heads who are heading any group, let us say the telecom group or the banking and financial solutions group, so they will always be looking at how we can get more business from the existing customers or reach out to new customers and get business. So let's say if we have implemented a functionality for a telecom customer related to billing. Now so we have a solution already ready. So we'll go to another telecom customer and tell them that we have done this for this particular customer. So we can do this for you also. So like that. So people who are, who are from marketing background may get into the pre-sales team. So your job would be to go and along with the sales team and then pitch and then get more business, either from new customers or repeat business from existing customers. So these are primarily the roles which we have for non-HR streams. Now if you notice, we primarily don't hire for core streams. Like we won't hire a finance person to be part of the finance team in TCS. Okay, at least we haven't been doing that so far because most of these teams are very small and we don't go out to colleges and then hire people. It's mostly people who are there in those groups only. Those requirements will be satisfied from internal to the company itself, right? So primarily, these are the roles which we hire for non-HR. HR roles, again, primarily it is, I would say, 3 groups which you can join. One is the talent engagement. So talent engagement is the generalist kind of HR role, where you would be responsible for a group of associates and your task will be to deploy the different processes. So that is one role. The second is talent acquisition. So that is recruitment. So I am part of the talent acquisition group. So either you will be part of the campus hiring team, fresher hiring team, or the lateral hiring team. So that is another role which we have. And then we have a group called the resource management group, the RMG. So the RMG is a function where they allocate people to projects. So we are hiring a lot of people. People get are allocated to a particular assignment. Once they are done with that assignment, they are free. They need to get allocated to the next assignment. So the group that takes care of that is RMG. So when we hire HR people, primarily it's these 3 roles which they can get into. Okay, to a smaller extent, this year there were some people who were also identified for learning and development group, but at least in the last 2-3 years, the kind of hiring that we have been doing has been focused on these 3 roles. Okay, so these are the things which are there for MBA hiring, what we do. So with that, I think inputs wise, this is what I wanted to convey. I remember I said that I will not talk too much. I don't want to make it a very long talk, but these are the things which I have from my side. I hope they gave you some inputs. Probably, I'm not so sure whether this is appropriate to give you all this thing on the 3rd day that you're here, but then I hope you found it useful in some way, and if you have any questions, you can ask me. I think probably the more questions you ask, more value will come from this discussion, rather than just me talking. Yes?
So I worked as a QA earlier, and then I started to work as a business analyst in a startup company.
Okay.
So what kind of a scope do I see at TCS?
You're already working as a business analyst in a
Yeah.
startup company, is it? Okay. Okay. When we come for hiring, we don't kind of pre-map. It's not like that. When I interview you or when I interview anyone else here, we don't look at you specifically like this person I will interview for a business analyst role. This person I'll interview for a ERP role. That is not done at the time of the interview. So at the time of our interview, what happens is, okay, I'll just share a few inputs on our recruitment process. So first, you have an online test, right? All the eligible people, we have a few parameters for eligibility. All the people who meet the eligibility criteria, they'll be put through an online test. All the people who clear this online test, our panels will interview them. So normally what we do is, we'll have panels who are from different backgrounds. We'll have a few people from marketing background, few people from finance background. Primarily it's these two, marketing, finance and systems also. This is for the non-HR roles. So these panels will come and interview the people. And what they would do is, they will decide where you are a better fit. If they see that, okay, this person has worked in this area already. Let's say there's somebody who has already worked on SAP. So they will say he is a better fit to the enterprise solutions group than the non-enterprise solutions group. So probably if you are sitting for the TCS process, and if the panel has seen that you have already worked as a business analyst, they may decide that this person is a better fit to get into a business analyst function than into, let's say, an ERP or pre-sales. So that's how it happens. So the scope is definitely there, but we don't hire people for specific requirements. I mean, at the time of the interview, we will not come and say that I'm looking at this person for this particular telecom project for ERP. It is a more general thing. We'll identify you whether after the interview, this person is from a marketing background, whether he is more fit for the non-enterprise solutions or enterprise solutions group. Then once you join and after you go through the induction program, then the RMG will decide. We have these requirements and these people are a good fit to these requirements, and you would be sent for that accordingly.